Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Got Ultimate Harem with Ino and Shizune Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this and comment for next part. And now let's start the fanfic. Tsunade felt her anger just about to burst. These people are insufferable. Stubborn old fools were too afraid to let go of the old way. She slammed her fist down at the table, causing it to crack a little. Fine. Do what you want with his ranking, but know this, I will not be held responsible for whatever ninjas you send after him. With that last statement, Tsunade walked out of the room, leaving them to think it over. Naruto, for the second time today, started to feel tears dripping down his face. He sniffled. I will never be manipulated again. From this day forward, the world and everything else in it is dead to me. He got up slowly, taking deep breaths. From this day forward, I will never be a Konoha ninja again. He summoned his blade of wind, scratching out the leaf symbol on his Hitai-8. May Kami-sama have mercy on the souls of those Konoha ninjas. He tied the Hitai-8 on his arm. Because they will be as good as dead. He slowly walked away, disappearing into the forest. What am I going to do, Jiraiya? I just marked Naruto for death. Rank SS. That's just like saying, kill me now. Tsunade buried her head under her arms, feeling her heart breaking. I trained that Gaki Haim. Don't worry. If anyone could survive this, it's that kid. Like you keep your eye on those hot springs, I bet. Tsunade muttered under her breath. Jiraiya laughed. See what you can do. I'm going to start looking for him now. Jiraiya opened the window and jumped away, leaving the Hokage to collect her own thoughts. A knock appeared on the door, disturbing Tsunade. What the hell is it now? She barked out. She wasn't in the mood for this. The new bingo book, Hokage-sama. A timid Chunin answered. She quickly took it and was flipping through the pages until she reached the name she was looking for. Her eyes widened when she read the rank. So those bastards actually went through with it. She looked up and still saw the Chunin standing there. What the hell are you waiting for? Get out of my sight. The Chunin quickly ran out of the room, scared because of all those rumors concerning the Hokage. The legendary Tsunade, the slug princess, capable of smashing mountains with her bare hands and the best medics that resides in Konoha. It was a death wish to get on her bad side. Tsunade watched as the Chunin ran out of the room, probably feeling scared. Shizune. Get in here. The already pissed off woman screamed. Shizune immediately entered, already knowing what was tormenting her. Take this down. I want a team of trackers to go after Naruto immediately. I want to hear his side of the story. He is to be approached unharmed. Shizune jotted down the message, nodding her head as she took notes. Get me Kiba Inuzuka, Neji Hyuga and Shino Aburame. 2 out of the 3 are currently unavailable, Tsunade-sama. Why not? Tsunade raised her voice. Things were falling apart here. God, she missed her old gambling days. The days where all she had to worry about was debt collectors, not people's lives. Kiba and Neji are currently stated to be in critical condition from fighting with Naruto. Tsunade raised her eyebrow. At the same time, yes. This was rather interesting. Naruto just took out 2 of her best Junin at the same time. Get me Hatake Kakashi and Hinata Hyuga. Shizune looked through her list, nodding her head, indicating that they were available. Get to it. I want him found ASAP. Shizune hurried out of the room, knowing the state of anger Tsunade would have if things weren't done around here. Things are going accordingly to plan. A dark figure stood up from the chair smiling. And Danzo. The ninja hesitated before continuing. It looks like Naruto crippled him and his root unit before leaving Konoha. The man frowned. This wasn't good news. He needed Danzo for the next step. Damn that Jinchuriki. He became a wild card that was not to be underestimated. No matter. The wheels of fate is already turning. It is only a matter of time before Konoha crumbles under my power. The man started laughing. It wasn't the usual evil laugh from most villains, this one was more sinister, more diabolical. Well, what are you waiting for, Sasuke? Get out of my sight. As you wish, Shinrei-sama. Sasuke bowed and took his leave. Shinrei watched his apprentice's retreating form. Orochimaru was a fool to let you go. If it is power that you want, Sasuke, you better be careful for what you wish for. He started laughing once again before walking out of the room himself. Well, brat, you should have listened to me. Didn't I warn you that humans were greedy and ignorant? All you humans are just too pitiful, but it no longer matters, the ends will justify the means. A rough and deep voice echoed through Naruto's mind. Only the weak needs to rely on people. The strong only depends on themselves. Naruto scowled at the voice in his head. You dare to lecture me now? Where were you when I was getting ambushed by the village? He still haven't forgotten about that time when he was abandoned by the demon. I'm sorry. Did you want me to hold your hand while we waltz out of the village? In case you've forgotten, you have full access to my chakra at any given time. Stop your whining. I didn't train you so you can whine. Naruto felt the voice pounding inside his head, louder and harder each time. Enough preaching, Kyuubi. I need a place to lay low for a while. Any ideas? The voice chuckled. I hope you enjoy hot places. Naruto released a small growl as his eyes focused themselves on the figure in front of him. Get out of my way, Danzo. As Naruto stared at the man, he could feel his hands begging to be unleashed, wanting nothing more than to tear him apart. Naruto moved around slowly, his feet scuffling against the ground. He didn't want to make too much movement. Too much movement would show that you're afraid, too little movement would show that you're unable to move, giving the enemy a reason to attack. As he observed his environment, he noticed that there were root members watching his every movement. Danzo smirked as he saw Naruto's eyes shifting all over the place. Let me tell you something, demon. There is no way that you can escape from this place alive. I suspected that you might pull a trick like this, so I made sure that all possible escape routes were covered. Danzo tapped his cane lightly. There is nowhere else to hide. I will finally do what the third could never do, and that is to kill you. Naruto felt his body automatically preparing itself for battle. His muscles were beginning to contract against each other, getting itself ready to fight at any given moment. He finally understood what his destiny was. It was no longer to become Hokage of this village, it was bring judgment to people that have done him wrong. He was born and raised to fight, and fighting is something that he will never escape. No matter where he went, this primeval fighting instinct will always be a part of him. He raised his arms and slipped into an unusual fighting stance. I'm leaving this village one way or another, and I'm intending to leave it alive. Danzo turned his smirk into a sadistic smile. Look around you. You are surrounded by my root. They are the best of the best, far superior than your average Anbu. Without any given warning, every member of Root threw kunais and shurikens towards Naruto. The leader of Root stood there silently, paying close attention to the fight. After a few seconds, he saw the body scarred beyond recognition. He shook his head, disappointed at the ability demonstrated by the Kyuubi. The demon was truly something to be feared. It was rumored to be the strongest of the Bijus. A name truly worth to be among the legends. I thought the mighty Kyuubi no Kitsune would have put up a better fight than this. Even though the battle was over, Danzo still felt uneasy. This feels way too easy. Killing someone of his caliber should not have been this easy, but then again, the man in front of him was impaled by so many weapons, it was impossible for anyone to survive. It was a shame though. If the third had let him take the boy as he wanted, none of this would have happened. There were many issues surrounding Konoha he disagreed on, but there was no use trying to change the past. Instead of mourning over it, there is the future that one can take control of, and now, it would finally be his time to get what he deserved. I told you that I would be leaving this hellhole alive. Danzo stared at the bloody mess standing before him, his eyes shocked. No one could have survived that, but this man was still standing here and communicating with them. The weapons came from every direction, making it impossible for anyone to put up any sort of defense. The only way he could have survived this was if he knew the ultimate defense from the Hyuga. What the hell are you? He managed to stutter out. Naruto only smiled before disappearing into thin air, leaving the leader of Root even more shocked. I am the Silent Storm. Naruto's voice echoed all around. And I am your worst nightmare. Silence engulfed the area as everyone looked around for all possible hiding locations. Gah! A Root member managed to produce a sound before dropping dead. Pretty soon, the members of his prestigious Root began to drop like flies. Danzo started to panic as he watched helplessly as each of his men dropped one by one to the floor. This cannot be happening. Danzo frantically thought. He was supposed to have the advantage here. His plans could not have any flaws. There was no way he could have miscalculated this. He continued to watch in horror as his entire plan backfired in front of him. Flashes of yellow moved around his soldiers at a fast pace. Within minutes, most of his soldiers were lying on the floor dead. Damn you, demon! Danzo cursed as he continued searching for Naruto. You're probably wondering what's going to happen to you next. Don't worry, I will tell you. The Shinigami is coming. The voice echoed all around, making it impossible to track Naruto down. Why don't you plead for your pitiful life, Danzo? It is not my life that I should be worrying about. Danzo replied calmly. They will be coming back any moment now once they realize that the Naruto they're chasing is a cage bushin. A kunai suddenly flew towards Danzo, lodging itself in his left shoulder. He winced from the pain, gritting his teeth to keep himself from screaming. He learned through experience that showing any kind of emotions to the enemy was a sign of weakness. It was something he cannot afford here. Then I guess I better finish this now. Naruto spoke again, his voice deprived of all emotion. Another kunai flew towards Danzo, but this time, it wasn't aimed towards his upper body. The kunai hit Danzo near the leg, severing the tendons on his right ankle. Danzo dropped to the ground, unable to support himself with one leg. Another kunai came flying towards Danzo, cutting the other tendon on his left ankle, leaving the fearless Root leader incapable of running away. Just kill me and get this over with already. The older man yelled. He already lost his arm and his right eye during the Second Shinobi War. He had lost his wife and child during the Kyuubi attack. There was nothing else in his life that he could lose at this point. No, I don't want you dead, yet. Death would be the easy way out. I want you to suffer the pain you caused me. The pain that cannot be healed. Naruto appeared in front of Danzo, finally meeting the man face to face. I told you that I would make you regret. Naruto shoved the kunai in a little further, causing Danzo muffle his cry of agony. Danzo was breathing heavily, barely enduring the pain. I'll get you, demon. I'll get you if that's the last thing I do. Naruto stared at the man, his cold eyes gazing into Danzo's face. I highly doubt that, but for showing me the reality of who I am going to show you an original technique as my going away present. He began performing a series of hand seals at a fast rate. Danzo's eyes widened as he watched Naruto finish with the hand seals. His right hand began to glow brighter than any fire jutsu known to man. Danzo could feel the heat just radiating from Naruto's hand. Demon. He managed to release his final words as he watched Naruto come closer and closer. Sainaru Kaki. Naruto whispered the jutsu's name. Holy Fire, a rare technique that he picked up while on his missions. He found it on a scroll that was meant to be seen by members of this particular clan. How ironic. A demon using a holy technique. The world must be coming to an end. Naruto mentally laughed to himself. Never in a million years did he think that the first person to witness this technique would be Danzo. Consider yourself lucky, Danzo-chan. Naruto added the suffix intentionally. You will be the first to see this technique and you will live to tell about it. Naruto reached out and grabbed Danzo by his neck, smiling at the effects caused by the jutsu. Screams of a man could be heard from all four corners of the village. It was an inhuman scream that was filled with torture. If anyone witnessed what truly happened there, they would have been plagued with nightmares for a lifetime. Never forget Danzo-chan. Never forget. The words barely registered in Danzo's mind as the man slipped into unconsciousness. Did you hear that scream, Hokage-sama? It sounded almost inhuman. A Chunin called out. He shuddered at the scream. It sounded so brutal. Tsunade stopped in her tracks, trying to decipher what she just heard. Then it hit her. She quickly turned around and saw the Naruto that they were chasing disappeared into thin air. Quickly, everyone turn around now. Tsunade yelled. She concentrated some more chakra on her feet before taking off in the opposite direction, leaving everyone behind. As she leapt between buildings, she had a faint idea of what happened back there. Some fool probably got into a fight with Naruto and he was probably dead, judging from that scream. When Tsunade got back to the front gate, the sight before her made her stomach twist and turn. The stench of blood was so strong that it was overwhelming. If she wasn't a former field medic, she would have vomited from the things she saw in front of him. There were so many ninjas were lying on the ground lifeless. Her eyes immediately took her further down the road, where she instantly recognized the lone figure lying in the middle of the road. Danzo. Tsunade quickly approached the man, noticing that his body was shaking uncontrollably. She shook her head as she turned his body over. As much as she hated this man, she cannot bring herself to let him die. Before all else, she was a medic and a medic's first rule is to always heal people before asking them questions. While a patient is in the hospital, enemy and ally alike are treated the same way. A hospital is meant for treating the wounded, where people can make amends, not create war. She was relieved when she found a pulse still beating from within the man. Her eyes trailed down his battle-worn body, noticing the huge burn scar by his neck. Dear Lord, she muttered to herself. Who could have done such a thing? She examined his neck. Those burns were serious and it will definitively serve as reminder for the rest of his life. Hokage-sama, come take a look at this. Tsunade turned her attention to the person calling her. She walked over to the fallen ninja. May his soul rest in peace. She lowered her head, giving herself a moment of silence to pay her respects to the fallen. These wounds, Hokage-sama, they were all done to the throat. Poor guys, they were probably dead before they even knew it. Very precise work too. Tsunade took a closer look at the ninja's fatal wound. The person who inflicted the wounds obviously had skill. She looked around at the other ninjas, noticing a pattern here. All the people that died here were root members and Danzo himself was lying here as well. She looked towards the unconscious man. Not even you deserve this. She started walking away, thinking back to the damage done by this single person. She now knew who could have possibly done this and it was too painful to admit it. There was only one man who could have caused this much chaos, one man who had the power to become the next Hokage, but fate intervened and denied him that right. Naruto Uzumaki, what have you done? Hokage-sama, we spotted the demon up ahead and will proceed to give chase. An Anbu appeared besides her, waiting for her orders. Tsunade shook her head. Cancel that order. This wasn't a favorable situation for them. If word got out that one of Konoha's own ninja crippled the village, it would hurt their reputation as well as inviting other villages to attack them in their already weakened state. Have everyone regroup. Bring everyone that you could find to the hospital. If they are still breathing, I want them there now. Tsunade barked out, trying to salvage whatever hope was left. Naruto pasted the front gate, stopping to acknowledge the beauty and history behind it. He remembered this gate well. This was where he received his first beating as a child from some drunken villagers. He took a deep breath as he walked outside. He felt his chest being lighter somehow, as if a huge weight has been lifted. It was no longer his home, no longer his prison that tortured him on days out. It was just a memory now. The next time I'm back Konoha, it's going to be a bang. Naruto held out his palms, forming a Rasengan on each one. Rasengan. He thrust his palms straight into the wooden gate, causing it to be reduced to nothing but splinters. There were no remains of the gate from the powerful attack. It left behind only small remains of what once stood a tall proud gate. I hope they enjoy the new look. With one last look, the man who grew up without a childhood, the man who took the beatings from the villagers each and every day, disappeared into the vast forest, never to be seen again. An hour later, Naruto traveled fast on his feet, hoping to create enough distance between him and the village. They would definitely be sending hunter nins after him as soon as they become organized. He knew what their mission was and he wasn't going to be around for them to finish the job. Just when Naruto jumped from one tree to the next, he noticed something odd. He felt like he was going in circles. There was no doubt about it. He could feel something different, but he couldn't ignore this fake feeling. He landed near a bush, determined to perform a more thorough check, but when he put his hand near the bush, his hand went through the bush, indicating that he was caught in a genjutsu. Naruto frowned. Just when was I trapped in this genjutsu? I didn't even detect one. He recalled one of his earliest lessons from Arrow Sennin. The easiest way of breaking out of a genjutsu is to overload and disrupt the chakra flow. The Sannin's voice echoed through his head. He closed his eyes and began the process. Within minutes, huge amounts of chakra exploded from him at uneven intervals. When Naruto opened his eyes, his surroundings was completely different than before. His senses went on high alert when he felt another presence coming from behind him. "I'm glad to see that you are still in one piece." Itachi spoke up, stepping out from the trees, his cloak flapping quietly from the breeze. "You're late." Naruto glared at the man. "There were some issues that I had to resolve before leaving the village." "You could have left him for another time," Itachi pointed out. Naruto narrowed his eyes, wondering how he could have known what happened. His eyes widened slightly when he realized that Itachi never actually left the village. He stayed behind to monitor his activities from the sides. "You don't trust me?" Itachi shrugged, knowing that Naruto had already figured it out. "Think of it as a safety measure." Naruto sighed. Talking to this guy was like talking to Guy. Both of them were as strong as they were queer. The only time they were normal was when the situation required it to be. "I'm here about that deal, Itachi," Naruto stated. "Of course, follow me." Itachi turned around and walked deeper into the woods without mentioning another word. Naruto stared at the missing nin, wondering why he was being so cooperative. "Are you coming? We can talk about it in a more secure location," Itachi called from over his shoulders. Naruto watched Itachi's retreating figure before following him, his eyes constantly searching the area for any kind of trap. "Sit," the Uchiha ordered. Naruto looked around, taking his time to inspect the camp. He checked for any sort of traps and hidden weapons. It wasn't because he didn't trust Itachi, it was from his earlier experiences that told him not to put all your trust into one person. "Make yourself comfortable, Naruto-kun," Itachi spoke up, interrupting Naruto's thoughts. "Enough of the small talk, Itachi," Naruto interrupted. He was here for one reason and one reason only. To find out what Itachi knew. "I want that information. I held up my end of the bargain. Now it's time to tell me what you know." "I see subtlety isn't one of your strong points," Itachi commented. "Did you seriously believe that by serving the council, they would respect you? You live in that dream world where you actually thought respect comes from the things that you done. It's time to wake up. You will always be the Kyuubi no Kitsune to them. Uzumaki Naruto never existed." Naruto growled. "Tell me something that I don't already know. Get to your point." Itachi glared. "Tell me. How corrupted do you think the village is?" Naruto shrugged. "At this point, I don't really care how corrupted in their filth they are. They could kill each in broad daylight and I wouldn't give a damn. It would save me the hassle of doing it myself." Itachi frowned. "Humor me. If you didn't hate them, just tell me how corrupted it is." Naruto shrugged, not really caring. "Fine. Maybe there's some corruption in power," he sarcastically answered. Itachi raised an eyebrow, nodding at his response. "You are only half right." He raised his finger. "Now my next question to you is why do they want you dead?" "I'm the bloody freaking Kyuubi. I think that says enough," Naruto coldly answered. His patience was running thin because Itachi was asking questions that served no relevance to his cause. Itachi nodded, approving of his answer. When the council couldn't turn you into a weapon, you became a liability for them. You became a danger to everything they stand for. They detested your existence. They were afraid of you, afraid of whom you are, afraid of what you are. When they couldn't turn you into their weapon, they had to terminate you. They couldn't let a loose cannon wander around. Why don't you tell me something that I don't already know? If this is all to your secret, Itachi, then I'm leaving. Do you remember the Uchiha massacre? Itachi quietly replied. This was a topic that he hasn't shared an outsider before, but it was finally time to pass on the story. Naruto quickly turned his attention towards Itachi, giving him an intense murderous glare. I'll take it as a yes. Itachi sat there, unfazed by the glare. He wasn't surprised with the look he received. With his little brother back in the village, Sasuke was a living, breathing reminder of the horrid events that took place that night. It was because of what you did that Sasuke turned out like this. Naruto erupted from his seat, his hand found its way onto Itachi's throat. Naruto slammed Itachi into a tree, his eyes beginning to change from blue to a bright red. Killing intent started flowing out from Naruto like a faucet. Itachi struggled against Naruto's grip as he stared into his eyes. It was almost as if Naruto was staring into his soul, just waiting for him to die so he can devour it. It was you. Naruto coldly whispered. That set forth the chain of events that forever changed Konoha. Itachi felt the pressure around his throat increasing. He figured Naruto would do something rational, but he never expected him to be like this. He was caught completely off guard by the attack. He did the only thing that could have calmed anyone down. Bring out the evidence. He reached behind his back and took out a scroll. Read it and then you will understand. Naruto grabbed the scroll away from Itachi and opened it with his left hand, not releasing the Uchiha. He recognized the scroll. It was a personal scroll from the files of Sarutobi, the former third Hokage. As Naruto skimmed through the scroll, his eyes widened as he went from top to bottom. He couldn't believe the material that was written on it. It had to be all lies, it has to be. He found his hand shaking. No. His entire body was shaking from the news. He dropped both Itachi and the scroll before falling to his knees. Itachi massaged his throat, feeling glad to be free from the man's grip. Do you understand now? We, the mighty Uchiha clan, was one of the most corrupted clans to have ever lived in Konoha. Bribery, assassination, anything you can name, we did it. We were the backbone of the Konoha police force. Who would dare to stand against us? We had the power to conquer Konoha if we so desired it. They were your family. Naruto, still shaken up. It went against everything that he was taught, everything that he knew. There was no way the Sandaime could have given the order to execute of the entire Uchiha clan. The kind old man who gave his life to protect the village and everyone in it. Naruto closed his eyes, trying to calm himself down. Why would he order something like this? He cared for everyone in this village like his own family. The Sandaime realized that a number of clans were being corrupted from within Konoha. If a plant developed a bad root, you would cut it off before it spreads, to keep the plant normal. In this case, I did exactly the same thing. Do you feel no remorse from your actions? Naruto quietly asked. He didn't even look at Itachi. He just stared straight at the ground, desperately searching for other possible reasons. Itachi shook his head. The order was given and it was clear that there couldn't be any survivors. And Sasuke, there had to be someone left that can carry this burden and to come after me for the sins that I have committed. I have chosen Sasuke for this task. Naruto finally picked his head up, his eyes returning back to their original color. Silence engulfed the area, both men unable to find the right words to say to each other. You're just like me. We gave everything to serve Konoha and in the end, we were just a mindless soldier who did as they were told but was cast aside when we were no longer needed. Itachi spoke up, trying to show some emotion but failed miserably. Naruto never looked up, his hands clenching to the ground. I'm nothing like you, Itachi. I'm sure of that. Was he just another Itachi? Of course there were some similarities, but he was different. He had to be. I see. I will take my leave, but remember, the next time we meet, it will be as enemies. Itachi took a step back before disappearing into the darkness of the forest. Arg! Naruto screamed into the air, wanting nothing more than to let this pain out. Birds flew away from the area, trying to get away from the deafening roar. Tsunade gripped the table with her bare hands, trying to prevent herself from lashing out against them. It has been 2 hours since they started this meeting and they were getting absolutely nowhere. For the last time, it is not his fault. She yelled. These people weren't budging an inch. She tried for hours convincing them that Naruto wasn't at fault. Tsunade-sama. With all due respect, the demon almost killed Danzo-san, wipe out about 20% of our forces, and cause the deaths of many civilians. How can we just let that slide? An elder spoke up. Tsunade growled in annoyance. They were just repeating and rephrasing the same thing over and over. If only there was some sign. Anything would do. Yoheim. She heard the door open and saw who was poking their head inside. Speak of the devil. He'll do just fine. Jiraiya. Tsunade nodded her head, granting him permission to enter the room. Several elders gasped around the room. You have the audacity to show your face in our presence after what you did. We should hang you for treason. Koharu threatened. Jiraiya ignored the woman's threat. He received much better threats than that, and compared to them, hers was childish. You have no control over me. I may be a ninja under the name of Konoha due to my contract, but nowhere in there does it state that I have to take orders from a group of ignorant fools. He faced the council. I am Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin, the title given to me by Hanzo himself. Both sides greeted each other with an intense glare. I would have let you guys die in cold blood if I had the chance. Jiraiya boasted. He wasn't afraid of them. These people have tasted the intoxicating essence of power and have become drunk with it. They are just not fit to be on the council anymore. Jiraiya. Tsunade called. He was making matters worse than it already is. If my student wanted, you guys would have been 10 feet under a long time ago. I truly train quite a few monsters. Jiraiya rubbed his chin, thinking back to his past students. They were truly a work of art. Jiraiya. Tsunade raised her voice a little. If I had my way, all of you would be. Jiraiya. Tsunade shouted, slamming her hands on the table. Yes. Jiraiya looked at her in surprise. He had forgotten that he was in the room with her while he was boasting off his achievements. Getting back to business. She cleared her throat. Something had to be done here. The balance of power has already shifted. If she doesn't act fast enough, the council will grow more powerful than the Hokage itself. We have decided to put Uzumaki into the bingo books. Homura stated. He is too dangerous to be left free. Fine. Rank a missing nin. She pulled out some paperwork, getting ready to write down the initial details. Rank SS. Hiyashi's voice spoke up. Both Jiraiya and Tsunade looked up, wondering if they heard the news right. Rank SS. Tsunade stuttered. Are you insane? Hiyashi stood up, knowing that it was his turn to explain the decision. He is classified as both a cage-level ninja and he also has the Kyuubi in him, the strongest of all demons. He deserves the rank of SS. He is better to us dead than alive. Other people started to join in, supporting Hiyashi of his idea. No. Tsunade calmly said. I refuse to do it. Jiraiya started applauding slowly. I am the Hokage of this village and I do not see him as a threat. You have elected me as Hokage, to serve and protect this village, and I will continue to do it until the day I die. She finished her speech by folding her arms, glaring at each member. Jiraiya, throughout the speech, stood up and was clapping loudly. I don't think you understand the situation, Tsunade-sama. We are in a time of crisis, which means that your power and our power are one and the same. During this time, we will vote and decide on important issues that concerns itself with the village. Koharu spoke up this time. All in favor of the decision. Please stand up. One by one, leaders of different clans started standing up. Tsunade stared at each of them in disbelief. Why? Naruto was friends with your children. He would never harm a single hair on them. It is because of that reason why we decided to do it, Hokage-sama. Inoichi quietly said. We have children that we want to protect, the children that we want to see succeed us. They are our future and we must protect it for their sake. Before Tsunade could open her mouth. Inoichi is right. We're sorry Tsunade-sama, but it is only for the best. Shikaku spoke up, interrupting her. Tsunade felt her anger just about to burst. These people are insufferable. Stubborn old fools were too afraid to let go of the old way. She slammed her fist down at the table, causing it to crack a little. Fine. Do what you want with his ranking, but know this, I will not be held responsible for whatever ninjas you send after him. With that last statement, Tsunade walked out of the room, leaving them to think it over. Naruto, for the second time today, started to feel tears dripping down his face. I will, he sniffled. I will never be manipulated again. From this day forward, the world and everything else in it is dead to me. He got up slowly, taking deep breaths. From this day forward, I will never be a Konoha ninja again. He summoned his blade of wind, scratching out the leaf symbol on his Hitai-8. May Kami-sama have mercy on the souls of those Konoha ninjas. He tied the Hitai-8 on his arm. Because they will be as good as dead. He slowly walked away, disappearing into the forest. What am I going to do, Jiraiya? I just marked Naruto for death. Rank SS. That's just like saying, kill me now. Tsunade buried her head under her arms, feeling her heart breaking. I trained that Gaki Harem. Don't worry. If anyone could survive this, it's that kid. Like you keep your eye on those hot springs, I bet. Tsunade muttered under her breath. Jiraiya laughed. See what you can do. I'm going to start looking for him now. Jiraiya opened the window and jumped away, leaving the Hokage to collect her own thoughts. A knock appeared on the door, disturbing Tsunade. What the hell is it now? She barked out. She wasn't in the mood for this. The new bingo book, Hokage-sama. A timid Chunin answered. She quickly took it and was flipping through the pages until she reached the name she was looking for. Her eyes widened when she read the rank. So those bastards actually went through with it. She looked up and still saw the Chunin standing there. What the hell are you waiting for? Get out of my sight. The Chunin quickly ran out of the room, scared because of all those rumors concerning the Hokage. The legendary Tsunade, the slug princess, capable of smashing mountains with her bare hands and the best medics that resides in Konoha. It was a death wish to get on her bad side. Tsunade watched as the Chunin ran out of the room, probably feeling scared. Shizune. Get in here. The already pissed off woman screamed. Shizune immediately entered, already knowing what was tormenting her. Take this down. I want a team of trackers to go after Naruto immediately. I want to hear his side of the story. He is to be approached unharmed. Shizune jotted down the message, nodding her head as she took notes. Get me Kiba Inuzuka, Neji Hyuga and Shino Aburame. 2 out of the 3 are currently unavailable, Tsunade-sama. Why not? Tsunade raised her voice. Things were falling apart here. God, she missed her old gambling days. The days where all she had to worry about was debt collectors, not people's lives. Kiba and Neji are currently stated to be in critical condition from fighting with Naruto. Tsunade raised her eyebrow. At the same time, yes. This was rather interesting. Naruto just took out 2 of her best Junin at the same time. Get me Hatake Kakashi and Hinata Hyuga. Shizune looked through her list, nodding her head, indicating that they were available. Get to it. I want him found ASAP. Shizune hurried out of the room, knowing the state of anger Tsunade would have if things weren't done around here. Things are going accordingly to plan. A dark figure stood up from the chair smiling. And Danzo. The ninja hesitated before continuing. It looks like Naruto crippled him and his root unit before leaving Konoha. The man frowned. This wasn't good news. He needed Danzo for the next step. Damn that Jinchuriki. He became a wild card that was not to be underestimated. No matter. The wheels of fate is already turning. It is only a matter of time before Konoha crumbles under my power. The man started laughing. It wasn't the usual evil laugh from most villains, this one was more sinister, more diabolical. Well, what are you waiting for, Sasuke? Get out of my sight. As you wish, Shinrei-sama. Sasuke bowed and took his leave. Shinrei watched his apprentice's retreating form. Orochimaru was a fool to let you go. If it is power that you want, Sasuke, you better be careful for what you wish for. He started laughing once again before walking out of the room himself. Well, brat, you should have listened to me. Didn't I warn you that humans were greedy and ignorant? All you humans are just too pitiful, but it no longer matters, the ends will justify the means. A rough and deep voice echoed through Naruto's mind. Only the weak needs to rely on people. The strong only depends on themselves. Naruto scowled at the voice in his head. You dare to lecture me now? Where were you when I was getting ambushed by the village? He still haven't forgotten about that time when he was abandoned by the demon. I'm sorry. Did you want me to hold your hand while we waltz out of the village? In case you've forgotten, you have full access to my chakra at any given time. Stop your whining. I didn't train you so you can whine. Naruto felt the voice pounding inside his head, louder and harder each time. Enough preaching, Kyuubi. I need a place to lay low for a while. Any ideas? The voice chuckled. I hope you enjoy hot places. Near the border of Kase no Kuni. Hold on. Itachi suddenly answered. They spent hours traveling towards their destination point, but it was mostly done in silence. There wasn't any need for conversation between them. These were two men that spent most of their life alone and isolated from everyone else. They have learned to survive on their own, shunned out by the place they once called home. They were labeled as monsters because of their past, the past which no one can escape but only accept. Uchiha Itachi, the man that single-handedly wiped out his clan in one night, in Uzumaki Naruto, the Kyuubi container himself. Even if they had conversed, there would be nothing to talk about because these were men of action, not men of words. Itachi strayed away from the path and landed on the ground, putting a temporary stop to their journey. We're going back. Naruto landed right next to him, wondering why they were stopping. Is that really necessary? His voice filled with annoyance. Itachi noticed the tone and gave him an icy glare. What does it matter to you? He bitterly replied. Naruto shrugged. I rather not waste my time idling around for useless things. It was pointless to argue at this point. He needed Itachi to get there, and if the Uchiha weren't ready to take him there, he would have to play his game for a while longer. He took the initiative and led the way back, his mind focused on only one thing. The joining. Itachi sighed, shaking his head. I hope the leader was right about you. Itachi followed pursuit, hoping to catch up with Naruto before he left him behind. With Ino, it was a complete understatement to say that Ino was mad. She was beyond mad. Not even the wraith of the devil himself could match what she was feeling right now. As she made her way back to Konoha, she was destroying everything in her path, branches, trees, whatever she could take her frustrations out on. Her day went from bad to worse in a matter of minutes. She continued to curse her day as the scenes replayed themselves over and over in her head. It was unbelievable how well choreographed everyone was. It was as if they all had a part in this grand scheme to make her life miserable. It was no one's fault but mine that I was captured as a hostage, but Ino said out loud. This was a trick that she picked up from Tenten. By saying these thoughts out loud, it allowed her to freely gather her thoughts and approach them in a logical and scientific way. It was also her way of keeping herself calm. She's been known to throw crazy tantrums, according to Shikamaru. I should have never accepted this mission. I knew I should have stayed in Konoha. A village is defined by how many missions they receive. The more missions that the village receives, the better their reputation is. Missions are also a way to judge ninjas. The more missions that they do, the higher their status is. A ninja's life is only worth as much as their missions. There was really no guarantee to what the occupation of a ninja would hold, whether they would live to see tomorrow or not. It varies due of the dangerous nature of this job. To throw away my life like some sort of useless trash, that is their fault. Ino released a small growl, gripping her knuckles tightly. It pissed her off when the person who she considered her best friend, her sister, was nothing more than a facade. Ah! Ino yelled out as she smashed her fist into the tree. She winced at the pain but shrugged it off, seeing as how the pain was also relieving her at the moment. Damn Sakura! Ino whispered. Ino took a step forward, preparing to continue with her traveling back home, but when she took that step, she felt herself losing focus for a second. Ino staggered back, pressing her palm to her forehead. Whoa! I must be losing it. An image of Sakura appeared in front of her, a smirk on her face. That must be it. I'm pushing my body too much and this is its way of telling me to take it easy. Ino reasoned with herself as she continued to stare at the image of Sakura that was fixated in front of her. She looked towards another direction but Sakura was there as well. Ino growled in annoyance. Why am I seeing her face now? That's simple, Ino pig. You can't stand the fact that I'm stronger than you and I'm also dating Sasuke-kun. You're just jealous that you can't be like me. A voice similar to Sakura's whispered. Ino felt her body quiver from the voice. After hours of traveling alone, hearing the voice of the person she wanted to get revenge on wasn't exactly her main concern. Sakura, come out here, forehead girl. Ino shouted. She took a glance around her surroundings, searching for any signs of a genjutsu. The Sakura image reappeared in front of her, smirking at her once more. Why? Ino charged forward, her fist arched back. Why the hell are you smirking? Ino cried out as she slammed her fist through Sakura's face. The image slowly faded, leaving the girl completely confused. She had just destroyed a tree but their Sakura was nowhere to be found. Feeling exhausted, Ino dropped to the ground, leaning against the broken tree. I seriously need to get back to Konoha, she whispered into the wind, praying that she'll make it back in one piece. With Itachi and Naruto. Why are we going back? Naruto inquired. He already knew the answer but he didn't know for sure. There were some uncertainty in the air and he hated that. It was just one of those rules that men make for themselves. For him, there were a few rules that he lived by and it has gotten him through life so far. Never trust anybody and never assume anything. Those were his top 2 rules. I need to bury his body. Itachi answered. Not many people knew this but they had a bond between them, a bond that was between brothers. They have been partners ever since he first joined the organization and it would be dishonorable to leave his friend like that. I don't see that as a valid reason for going back. He's dead. There's nothing we can do. We should be moving. Before Naruto could finish that sentence, he was slammed into a tree, Itachi's hand tightly gripping his throat. Itachi stared into the man's eyes, his Mangekyo Sharingan spinning rapidly. This is not about what you want to do. This is about what I want to do. Itachi coldly exclaimed. Open your damn eyes, Itachi. He died because he was weak. The weak has no place among the strong. He might be a partner, even a friend to you but to me, he was nothing. Naruto retorted in an equally cold tone. Both men stared at each other, neither moving a muscle. Itachi finally relinquished his hold over Naruto, dropping him to the ground. If you ever disrespect Kisame again, I will kill you. I would like to see you try Uchiha-san. Naruto whispered, putting emphasis on Itachi's clan name. Tension began to rise up between the two, each glaring at each other. Itachi stood near Naruto, his figure looming over the man. Don't try me, Uzumaki, or I'll show you what a real Uchiha can do. Your brother already tried proving that. Will there be a difference between you and him? I surely don't see it. Naruto answered, mocking Itachi. My weak brother is blinded by his ambitions. Do not compare him to me. Itachi replied. He started to walk off into the cave alone, leaving Naruto outside. Naruto sat there and frowned. A dead man is still a dead man no matter how you look at it. His eyes growing red for a second. There is no such thing as a good man in this world, Itachi. Naruto said while staring into the cave. In Konoha 5 p.m. Tsunade let out a small yawn, stretching her arms. It was that time of day and the paperwork was just high enough to be her pillow. Just as she was about to put her head down, Shizune ran into the room, letting the doors bang against the wall as it opened. Tsunade-sama. Tsunade let out a small groan. There goes her afternoon nap. After a long day of paperwork and drinking sake, she deserved a nap. What is it now, Shizune? Unless half of Konoha was under attack by Akatsuki and demons, there was no way she was leaving her office. They're back, Tsunade-sama. Tsunade raised her eyebrow, not completely sure what she was talking about. Who's back? Team 7 and 10. Tsunade sat up. The news had her undivided attention. This was a lot better than doing some lousy paperwork. Well, go get them in here. I have some questions for them. Shizune hesitated for a second. They're currently in the hospital at the moment, Tsunade-sama. They ran into some problems while encountering Itachi and Kisame. Wondering what happened, Tsunade jumped out of her seat and made a dash for the door. Come on. Don't just stand there. We have to get down there. She barked out. Shizune quickly nodded her head and ran after her. With Ino. My god. I didn't think we traveled that far out from Konoha. Ino mentally cursed. She was a long way off from her destination. There was nothing but trees and more trees. It was already getting dark and she was deciding if she should set up camp or not. Is getting my revenge this important that it's driving me to keep going? I wonder what kept him going. Ino's expression suddenly changed. Somehow, images of him wandered into her mind. She wasn't even thinking about it. She started laughing as she rested against a tree. I must be going crazy. She thought back to the times she spent with the hyperactive blonde. Surprisingly, no matter how hard she tried, she had no memories of ever spending time with the blonde. Is this truly how much I know about Naruto? She asked herself. She couldn't remember anything about him, his likes and dislikes, his favorite hobbies, or even his birthday. She quickly dismissed those negative thoughts out of her head, wanting questions that could trigger a memory that she forgotten. There must be something about him that I knew. She thought back a bit further. She got her answer when she remembered something from their genin days. Flashback. Naruto. What do you plan on doing when you become older? Iruka asked. It was nearing the end of the exams and he always did this exercise. He wanted to ask the kids what their dreams and encourage them to follow it. He wanted to play a role in these kids' life, knowing that they might not have much of a life after they graduate. I'm going to be the greatest Hokage there ever was. Naruto shouted. He jumped on his desk and pointed towards the window. I will surpass the Yondaime and then everyone will see that I'm better than he is. The class burst out laughing, knowing that he was the class's dead last. A loser who couldn't achieve that dream no matter how hard he tried. You're a loser, Naruto. There's no way you could become Hokage. Why don't I become Hokage for you? I have a better chance than you. Heck, even Choji could become Hokage before you. Kiba shouted. Ino snorted. Get real, Kiba. The only person who could become Hokage is Sasuke-kun. She looked at her Sasuke-kun. The boy of her affections during her younger days. Naruto only smiled. That Tem couldn't hold a candle to my powers, Ino-chan. You're better off leaving him for me. Ino laughed once more. Get real, Naruto. Get real. Flashback end. Ino sighed. She really had no relevant information about him. She only had bits and pieces of information. Besides the fact that there was only a handful of blondes in the village. She had nothing. She did know that he was going out with Sakura for a while, but after they broke up, he just disappeared from their lives completely. Whenever she had hung out with the rest of the Rookie 9, Naruto was never there. No one even bothered to bring up his name, nor did they seem to care he was missing. A bit of guilt raced through her heart. Was it our fault he turned out like this? Would it have made a difference if one person cared? She tried to picture herself in his place, but it was difficult being Naruto. She couldn't imagine just being him. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that she never really tried to understand Naruto, and because of that, she almost died by his hands. She shuddered at that thought. his cold blue eyes still engraved in her memories. Will you truly be happy when you get your revenge, Naruto? Is revenge the only path that a person that's been betrayed can take? She asked. There was no answer, not even a breeze of the night wind. She chuckled at herself. Of course no one was going to answer her. There was no one here in the first place. She looked up at the stars, searching for some sort of answer. What made you turn out this way, Naruto? Would it have been different if someone cared? As Ino continued back on her journey, it was by coincidence she missed a shooting star that happened to pass by. It was as if someone was listening to her. Konoha Hospital. Tsunade stood outside the door, catching her breath before entering. She couldn't just enter the room looking out of breath. She was the Hokage. She had an image to uphold. If they found out that she got tired from running here, she would lose respect from her fellow ninjas. She smiled as she heard laughing and talking inside. This was a good sign that everything was okay. As she opened the door, everyone continued to talk, not noticing her standing there. She let out a small cough, letting everyone know that she was there. I see that you're all okay. Shisho. Sakura replied while everyone else respectfully called her Hokage-sama. Tsunade nodded her head and entered the room with Shizune. I see that you're all back in one piece, with the exceptions of a few. She looked around the room. Sakura had bandages around her hand while Sasuke had them on his upper body. Shikamaru was sitting on a chair next to Choji's bed, keeping him company. Asuma was standing next to Kakashi, smoking a cigarette in a forbidden zone. As Tsunade looked around the room, she noticed that someone was missing. Where's that Yamanaka girl? Asuma took one last puff of his cigarette before smothering it on the floor. It was his duty to tell her. She was on his team since their Genin days, and as her Junin instructor, he will make sure that her death did not go in vain. She's gone, Hokage-sama. What do you mean she's gone? She couldn't have disappeared during a mission. Tsunade replied. It was against protocol to run away from a mission. That itself could sentence Ino to death if she was found by Anbu. Noticing that no one responded to her question, she looked around, everyone still with their heads down, avoiding her gaze. She didn't understand the silent treatment. There has to be something they weren't telling her. He took her. Asuma finally answered. That was the truth. No matter how much he tried to hide it, there was no use denying the fact that she was gone. Tsunade looked at the elder Sarutobi, trying to understand the meaning behind that sentence. We ran into Naruto, Hokage-sama. Kakashi spoke up. Naruto. He's alive. Tsunade managed to stutter out. What was he doing there? Is he okay? No. I'll tell her. It was my fault things turned out like this. Asuma spoke up, interrupting Kakashi. You might want to sit down for this. It's a long story. Tsunade nodded, pulling up a chair. As Asuma retold their mission report in full details, Tsunade went into shock. She couldn't believe that Naruto had a part in this. He wouldn't do this. She tried to convince herself otherwise. There was no way Naruto was the one who attacked them. Why would he do this? She demanded. Shisho, it's true. Sakura sighed and lowered her head. He was probably working with Akatsuki. That's the only reason why he would show up there. Sakura fiddled with her broken hand, feeling a slight pain. Don't worry, Hokage-sama. We'll get him next time. Sasuke confidently replied, wrapping his hands around Sakura's waist. Yeah, Sakura answered, leaning closer into his embrace. Tsunade felt a major migraine coming on. Get some rest and then I want you all in my office first thing tomorrow morning. Tsunade got up and left the room, giving them time to recuperate. Next morning 10 a.m. Excuse me, Tsunade-sama. Sakura is here to see you. Tsunade looked up from her paperwork to her apprentice standing by the door. Tsunade nodded her head, acknowledging the request. Thank you, Shizune. Shizune closed the door after Sakura entered, ensuring that the things that they were about to be discussing was not interrupted. Tsunade looked around, wondering what happened to the others. She wanted all of them in her office, not just one. Where are the others? They were just too exhausted to come. Sakura answered. After that mission, everyone deserved a day off. It had been hard on them all, losing Ino and all. Tsunade mumbled something about lazy ninjas before pointing to the seat next to Shizune. Sit. We have a lot to talk about. She cleared all the paperwork just for today. There was some part of the mission report that seemed fabricated. There was no way she could bring herself to the fact that Naruto had really committed these crimes. It was just too unbelievable. With Ino, I'm almost there, Ino told herself. She could almost taste it, she was almost home. As she got closer, she saw the new gates of Konoha. Tsunade-sama had invested a lot of time and effort into remaking these gates. She didn't understand why the Hokage would do something like that, but Shino once told her it served as a memorial to the ninjas that lost their lives during that fateful day. As she approached the front gate, she saw a young genin team composed of 2 girls and a boy leaving Konoha. She couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu as they walked past her. These girls were just like her when she first started, inexperienced, and from the looks that they were giving that boy, a fangirl. Oh well, they'll soon learn that life isn't all that glamorous. Ino thought. Her personal life hasn't changed much except that she was no longer interested in Sasuke. She preferred not to be dating and put her social life on hold due to her fellowship with Ibiki. When it came to dating, she had just a few qualities that she looked for in a man: handsome, strong, and knows what he wants in life. She wasn't going to settle for anything less. Her mind somehow conjured up an image of Naruto staring at her with his cold blue eyes. As she stared back into his blue eyes, she found that she was no longer afraid of them but was mesmerized by it. There was something in those eyes that captivated her. She immediately dismissed her thoughts and headed for the Hokage Tower. She had a score to settle with a certain pink-headed girl. Hell is about to be frozen over, Ino thought as she ran through the streets of Konoha. With Itachi and Naruto, we travel all night to come here and you're still not ready to bury him. You're wasting my time here, Itachi, Naruto coldly stated. Sitting against a rock was not his ideal place to be for the past hour. His patience was already running low and he was tempted with just killing Itachi here and now. I'll be done when I'm done, Itachi replied with his eyes closed. He was currently in a silent prayer, paying his respects for his fallen comrade. I don't like it when people keep me waiting, Itachi. Do not make me wait, Naruto warned before disappearing in a puff of smoke, leaving the Uchiha alone. Konoha Hokage Tower. So let me get this straight. You are saying that Naruto was the cause of all this? Tsunade asked, repeating the information one more time. She was having a hard time believing that the blonde would go to such lengths to do something like this. That's what really happened, Hokage-sama, Sakura answered. She still remembered the time his hollow eyes stared into her when they met. She shuddered at that memory. Before anyone else could speak, the doors blew open, revealing a familiar face. Ino, you're alive, Sakura squealed. She jumped up from her seat and ran to her friend. We all thought you were dead. She attempted to hug the blonde, but when she took a step closer, she found herself lying on the ground, unsure of what just happened. Don't touch me right now, Sakura. The only thing preventing me from killing you right now is the Hokage, Ino threatened. Ino, what is the meaning of this? Tsunade said, surprised to see such behavior happening in front of her. Ino walked away from Sakura and stood in front of Tsunade, her hands folded against her chest. It was obvious from her appearance that she probably ran all night to return home. I figure from your voice that you have a hard time believing a word that's coming out of her mouth. When Tsunade didn't say anything, Ino took it as a signal to continue. I did not die by Naruto's hand, as you can see. If you can overlook her exaggerated story, some parts of it are true. Tsunade nodded her head to continue, wondering where this was going. Then enlighten me as to which part was true. She put her chin above her hands, waiting for the story. Ino, Sakura asked. She was more shocked about the change in her best friend than the story itself. Sure, they were rivals, but they were always friends first. As Sakura looked Ino over, she could tell that there was something different about her. How are you here? We thought he killed you. Sakura asked. She was really curious. Naruto looked pretty damn serious when he made that threat. Something must have happened between them if he just let her go like that. I'm sorry to disappoint you guys that I'm not dead. Ino sneered. She ignored the shocked look on Sakura's face as she continued on with her story. Did she ever tell you how she made that decision that almost left me for dead? Tsunade narrowed her eyes and stared at Sakura, wondering what Ino was talking about. What decision did she make? The decision that almost cost me my life. Ino yelled out. All that frustration and anger that she had built out was coming out at once. She figured that my death would mean something if Sasuke killed the both of them along with me. Tsunade dropped her jaw, shocked beyond anything she would have imagined from the new information. Sakura, is this true? Tsunade stared at her apprentice. Sakura didn't look ashamed at her actions. She stared right back at Ino, her glare matching Ino's glare. I did what was right. We all know about the sacrifices that ninjas make. It would have been better to see them dead than alive. Then why didn't you do it? Ino retorted. Because you were the one who got caught. Sakura yelled out. In an instant, what became a friendly chat erupted into a full-blown argument. The two girls were so into their shouting that they forgot that they were in the presence of the Hokage. Insults and harsh name-calling were thrown, and unfortunately for the spectators, it wasn't a fun fight to watch. Girls, Tsunade yelled out, getting their attention. Both of you have issues right now, and personally, I don't give a damn. You will settle this yourselves, but in either case, Sakura was justified in making the correct decision if you could see it as a correct decision. Tsunade closed her eyes, trying to make her headache go away. Not everything you learn is always the best course of action. She sat back down and pulled out a fresh sheet of paperwork. Get out before I decide to punish the both of you. Ino and Sakura quickly took the hint and left the room. Shizune sat there shaking her head in disappointment. You went easy on them. Tsunade looked up at her. Why are you still here? Don't you have some paperwork to do? Shizune frowned and disappeared, leaving her alone in the office. Tsunade sighed as everyone left the room. She stared at the piece of paper that she just yanked out. Criminal sightings. She read out loud. Ironic. Tsunade thought. They were discussing criminals, and this was the title of the bill she just yanked out. Just what have you done now, Naruto? Tsunade quickly crumpled the piece of paper and tossed it away. She sighed. She had a feeling that today was going to be a long day. With Ino and Sakura, both girls walked out of the office, arguing to the point where blood was ready to be spilled. Sakura was all up in Ino's face, her finger poking Ino on the chest. What the hell was that, Ino pig? Sakura shouted. You didn't have to go and do that. Ino snorted. What makes your life more interesting than mine? You had no right to make that decision. You know what, Ino? I'm tired of this. Let's settle this once and for all. Sakura challenged. She was tired of Ino's constant whining. She was going to prove to her that she was the best once and for all. She was going to prove to Ino that she wasn't the same girl that needed help from bullies all those years ago. Ino smirked, glad that Sakura finally got a good idea. At least now, I know there's something up there besides empty space. Training Field 9. You don't know how long I've been waiting for this, Sakura. Ino said as she started stretching. During her lonely journey back to Konoha, she had a lot of time to think about the fight that she wanted with Sakura. This was going to calm her anger, and she wasn't going to hold anything back. Sakura cracked her knuckles. You know you can't beat me. I wasn't the Hokage's apprentice for nothing. And I'm just the underprivileged girl that didn't get that special training. Ah, poor me. Ino replied, unimpressed by Sakura's status. Both girls stood about 10 feet away from each other, waiting for a signal that would begin their fateful match. Ino slipped into her usual stance, her right foot placed forward a bit. Sakura stood there, her glove on her hand. Since her right hand was still damaged, she didn't bother to put on a glove for her right. A single leaf flew into the field, twisting and twirling in the wind. As soon as the leaf touched the ground, both girls disappeared from sight. They exchanged blows at a fast pace, neither of them was thinking about anything else but winning the watch. Ino ducked under from a left-hand hook and twisted her body around, countering it with a hard left kick towards the ribs. Sakura saw her attack miss and quickly jumped away, avoiding the kick. As soon as Sakura landed, she flipped through some hand seals before slamming them on the ground. Doden. Dorio Dango, Sakura dug her hands into the earth before pulling out a chuck of the earth. Take this, Ino. She chucked it towards Ino, wondering what she would do now. Ino's eyes widened as she saw a huge boulder coming towards her. She jumped away, avoiding the attack. You're so slow, Sakura whispered into Ino's ear. Ino turned around and performed a roundhouse kick in midair but found that no one was there. Where are you aiming? Ino saw Sakura standing on top of the boulder and threw a kunai towards her. The kunai went through Sakura and embedded itself on it. The truth soon hit Ino as she realized that she was trapped in a genjutsu. Almost had me, Sakura. She held up her hands to her chest. Kai, she cried out, dispelling the illusion. She looked around for Sakura, trying to see where she was. The dust was still in the air, allowing Sakura to hide anywhere and buy time to formulate a plan. Near Training Field 9. Why are we here again, Kiba? Shikamaru yawned. He didn't appreciate being dragged out of his bed so early in the morning. Stop your whining, Shikamaru. Akamaru and I saw Ino and Sakura heading towards this training field in a rush. I think they're going to fight. Lee shook his head. Kiba-san. Why would they fight? They're best friends. Before anyone could answer him, a loud eruption occurred and more fighting could be heard. Never mind, Lee quickly said as he ran towards the fighting. Everyone else ran after him, not wanting to miss the fight. Training Field 9. Futon. Daitapa, Ino cried out as she finished her hand seals. Soon, winds came in from all directions, blowing everything away. She had channeled more chakra than usual for this technique. She knew Sakura was hiding somewhere, planning, but she was not going to have the chance. Take this, Sakura shouted out as she appeared from behind Ino. Ino didn't have time to prepare for the impact as she felt Sakura landed a left hook on her stomach. Ino was sent flying hard into the tree, causing it to split in half. She coughed up some blood as she pushed herself to get back up. You lost, Ino. Give up before I beat you down to an inch of your life. Sakura said confidently. She walked over to Ino and kicked her in the ribs, sending her former friend into the ground. Ino slowly got up, taking deep breaths. She was lucky that she somehow used the momentum of Sakura's kick and threw herself away, avoiding the attack. I was never the obedient ninja type of girl. Ino held her hands together and smirked. I'm sure you remember this one. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Sakura narrowed her eyes as she saw 5 Inos standing in front of her. She gripped her left hand tightly and charged in. She went up to the first clone and went to knock it out of existence. Doden. Doro Geishi. Ino whispered as she quickly put her hands to the ground. An earth wall shot up from the ground, but that didn't stop Sakura from shattering the wall. When Sakura broke through the wall, she was surprised to see Ino standing in front of her with her hands in an oval shape. Sakura immediately recognized the seal and ran for it, but several of Ino's clone rose up from the ground, grabbing her ankles and prevented her from moving. Shintenshin no Jutsu. Ino yelled. Sakura watched helplessly as she was struck by the jutsu. Ino felt her spirit leaving her body and entering Sakura. From there, Ino had a sinister smirk on her face. Let's see how pain you can withstand. Ino raised her right hand and Sakura's body responded. You there. Ino pointed to a clone. Squeeze this hand as hard as you can. The clone nodded and started to squeeze Sakura's already damaged hand. Ah! Ino and Sakura both screamed. The pain from just squeezing it was unbearable, but it must be done. By forcing Sakura's hand to be injured, she can further extract her revenge. Ino endured the pain for another minute before switching back to her body. As soon as she entered her original body, she felt herself breathing heavily and feeling some leftover pain. She glanced towards Sakura, who managed to destroy the clone holding her hand. Noticing that Sakura was preoccupied with her damaged hand, Ino leapt into the air and landed behind Sakura. She took advantage of Sakura's pain and smashed her elbow into Sakura's face, causing her to be distorted by the pain. Seeing as Sakura was too distorted to defend herself, Ino continued her assault, throwing a fury of punches towards her chest before grabbing her right hand again. Sakura groaned from the pain and tried to fight back, but Ino was currently applying pressure to her right hand. She gritted her teeth as she felt herself being thrown into the air. By the time she realized what was going on, several of Ino's clones were already up in the air waiting for her. A clone came up behind her and executed a roundhouse kick to her back, sending her from one clone and straight into another. The brutal assault continued until two of the clones combined their kick and sent her spiraling towards the ground. Sakura let out a small cry of pain as she hit the ground hard, causing it to split apart from the force. Ino jumped into the air, using one of her clones as leverage. She found herself hovering above Sakura long enough for her to execute her final move. This is where I prove that I'm goddamn better than you. Ino came down hard on Sakura. The impact from her attack caused the ground to split apart even more. QQ Danchaku. Ino whispered as time suddenly stood still. She could feel her body weight applied more force on Sakura's body. She could hear her muscles becoming more and more tense with each passing second. Sakura released a bone-chilling scream as she felt Ino's attack connect with her stomach. Her body was experiencing a whole new meaning of pain. It was just indescribable. Death was a far better option than lying here in agony. Ino slowly removed her knee from Sakura's stomach, shifting her weight from her left side to the right. Sakura screamed even more as Ino pressed her weight on her right hand, crushing the remaining bones in her hand. Sakura gritted her teeth as she kept the tears from falling out. The pain was excruciating to the point where it was unbearable. Sakura mustered all the chakra that she get and threw Ino off her. Ino flipped in the air and landed on her feet, waiting for Sakura to get up. Come, I'm not done with you yet. Ino stood there, her left hand held out, taunting her to get up. Who do you think is going to win? Kiba randomly spoke up. Everyone was silent. They were too focused with watching the fight. They're both at their limits right now. Shino replied, speculating the girls. This is where their paths end. One will fall while the other will walk. Whatever the outcome, there will be changes. Both of the girls stood there, feeling exhausted from the match. Sakura wiped the blood off her mouth before clutching her right hand. I could have you thrown in jail for doing this to me, Ino. The number. Cut the crap, Sakura. Ino spoke up, interrupting Sakura. In a fight, do you really think ninjas follow the rules? Do you think Naruto followed the damn rules when he let me live? Sakura became furious at Ino's behavior. Rules is what sets us apart from criminals like Naruto. It is because of people like him that makes the rest of us look bad. Ino glared at her former friend. Well, I remember a certain someone that already disobeyed a rule. What was it again? Something about deserting their teammates. Ino threw out. Shikamaru sighed. This is so troublesome. Why can't women just leave their emotions at the door? Care to repeat that sentence, Shikamaru-kun? A soft but angry voice spoke up. Shikamaru didn't need to turn around to recognize the voice. Ah, I didn't mean it like that, Hinata. He knew better than to face an angry Hyuga. Before Shikamaru could explain his answer, Kiba eagerly yelled out thoughts. To hell with the rules. Finish it. In the past, there were no laws, no regulations that were established to govern ninjas. It was back during the era of the Shodaime Hokage where he decided that it was barbaric to conduct themselves without honor, without proper laws. It was for that purpose that the ninja handbook was created. Both girls released a battle cry and charged head-on, determined to end this with one final blow. Sakura charged in with her left hand arched back, preparing to slam it into Ino's face. Ino saw the fist coming and ducked. There was no way that she could match Sakura in strength, and she knew it. She had to time her counterattack at the right moment or else she would lose this match. When Sakura got within Ino's striking range, she saw the moment that she was waiting for. Now, Ino opened her fist and let the palm slide harmlessly off her skin, allowing Ino to respond and counter with several quick jabs to her ribs before ending it up with a fierce uppercut. Sakura felt herself losing consciousness as she dropped to the ground. I hope that someday, you'll open your eyes, Ino stated as she was breathing heavily. Before anyone could run up and congratulate them on the great fight, Ino disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving everyone to wonder what was going on. Sakura-san, are you okay? Lee frantically asked. Tenten put a hand on Lee's shoulder, assuring the young Junin that the girl was okay. Lee tried to lift her up but Shino beat him to it. You're still injured. You shouldn't stress yourself over this. Lee sighed and allowed Shino to carry Sakura to the hospital. That was a boring fight. Shikamaru lazily remarked. He didn't bother going with them to the hospital. It was just too much of a hassle. This was far better than a stuffy room. With Ino ran away from the training ground at high speeds, her mind frantically searching for a place where she can be alone. She needed time to think about all this. As she ran deeper into the woods, she was taking so many twists and turns that she didn't really pay attention to where she was going and found herself in a field full of flowers. There were so many different kinds of flowers there, each unique and different. The sight before her took her breath away. As she walked slowly into the field, being careful about not destroying the floral, she soon forgot her worries as she began to identify the flowers. When she was a child, she spent most of her afternoons at her parents' flower shop, and because of that, she was able to name most of the flowers. Growing up in a flower shop taught her to appreciate the beauty of these flowers and the meanings that they symbolize. She let out a small smile as she sat down, tears starting to flow down her cheeks. Is this what I wanted? Revenge is supposed to make a person feel good, but why do I feel so miserable? Ino asked herself. Even though she got her revenge, there was that feeling of regret inside of her. No matter how much she told herself that Sakura deserved it, the pain wouldn't go away. It just stayed in her heart, making Ino feel guilty. I guess all those stories about revenge being sweet was utter bullshit. Ino said, tears forming in her eyes. Pretty soon, they made their way down her cheeks and onto the ground. She didn't understand why she was crying. Ninjas don't cry. The only time they cry was over a death of a friend. A family member. That was the only time allowed to cry. That was in the rules. Rule number 34, a ninja must never show their emotions. Ino quietly laughed to herself. I sound like Sakura now. She gazed up into the sky, the gray cloudy skies. It almost seemed like the heavens were also crying with her, sharing her pains. She couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't truly alone. With Naruto and Itachi, Itachi walked out of the cave, his mind and body both exhausted. After spending almost 3 hours in there, it would make anyone exhausted. He noticed that the area around the cave was still in one piece, which meant that Naruto was nowhere to be found. He activated his Sharingan and looked around, trying to pick up any faint traces of chakra residue. He took a few steps forward, trying to locate his wayward partner. I told you I hate waiting. You must not care about who you're dealing with. A cold voice whispered from behind Itachi. Itachi felt his body frozen with fear. He couldn't even turn his head around. Was I injected with the drug again? Itachi thought. He didn't feel anything pricking him on his back. He tried to move his mouth to respond, but the muscles were tightly contracted together, refusing to move. I didn't inject you with anything. The voice answered. Did he just read my mind? Itachi thought, but shook off that ridiculous thought. There was no way that telepathy exists in this world. It was just impossible. The Sharingan comes very close, but there is no true bloodline that allows a person to read thoughts. It was just impossible. Do you want to play a game? Naruto spoke again, but this time his voice seemed to be very distant. Itachi could feel his body responding to the voice, as if it was afraid of him. It wasn't from the fact that he couldn't move that scared him. It was the fact that his body was refusing to move. Naruto stepped out from the shadows, his cloak hiding most of his physical features. Naruto nodded his head once and Itachi felt his body returning to normal. He moved his fingers around, glad that his body was in his control once more. What did you do to me? Itachi asked, his curiosity getting the better of him. Naruto turned his head, ignoring the elder Uchiha. I'm not obligated to tell you anything. The blonde started to walk away, missing the glare that Itachi gave him. With Ino. It was already nightfall when Ino finally returned to her apartment. She didn't plan on staying out that late anyway. It wasn't because she wasn't allowed to stay out so late, but rather, the thought of going back to an empty apartment didn't exactly thrill her. Spending her time in that field of flowers was just the thing that she needed. She was surrounded by flowers, the one thing that reminded her of her parents. When she was sitting there by herself, she was able to meditate in peace, regain the inner Ino. They say that jewelry and flowers are a girl's best friend, but when you can't afford any of those, just give a girl her personal space and she'll do just fine. As soon as she entered her apartment, she immediately headed straight for the bathroom. All she wanted to do is just soak in there until her skin was wrinkly, not that she would do that anyway. Her apartment wasn't small, it was just the opposite. It was a 2-bedroom apartment fitted with everything that she could need. She never bothered to get a roommate, she just wanted to be alone. She stifled a quiet as she entered the bathtub, the warm, comfortable feeling that she missed while she was out completing her missions. She felt her troubles just washing away and everything in the world was okay. Almost nothing could tear her away. Almost nothing except that blonde. Damn that evil, irritating blonde. Whenever she was alone, she couldn't stop picturing him in her mind. It was almost like an obsession. She didn't know what it was about him. Was it because of his status, his power, or his presence? Ino sighed. She didn't know what it was. There was just something about him that made him from everyone else, something that made him different. Whatever it was making her think about him and she didn't like it. She remembered the last day that she ever saw of him. It was that day where everything literally went to hell. She remembered him talking about some speech about friends, but she paid him no attention. She just went along with the flow, throwing insults at the boy and was blinded by the rational judgment to logically do an investigation herself. Her mentor, Ibiki, would be so disappointed at her. Damn, I'm no better than the rest of them. Ino said as she dunked her head into the water. She was just like the villagers, treating him like the plague after finding out what he was. She screamed underwater, wanting to release her guilty conscience. She didn't want to feel this way anymore, and to make it worse, he had spared her life. That was the thing that pissed her off the most. She wouldn't be like this if he had killed her, but then again, maybe killing her wasn't his motive. There was just too many unanswered questions. Tomorrow morning, Ino briskly walked into the Hokage Tower, feeling nervous. Having practicing the speech that she was going to give the Hokage, she was a bit jumpy. She walked up to the front desk, greeting Shizune. Good morning, Shizune-san. Is Tsunade-sama in right now? Shizune turned around and stared at the almost closed door. She put her ear next to the door and listened to it. No snoring. Good, it meant that she was awake. Go right ahead, Ino. Shizune replied with a smile. Ino thanked her and walked in. Tsunade was reading a newspaper when Ino walked in, not really noticing her presence. Ino knocked on the door lightly, hoping to catch her attention. Excuse me, Hokage-sama. Yes. Tsunade looked up and saw the young Yamanaka standing at her door. What can I do for you today? I was wondering if I could get some time off. Ino answered. Tsunade choked on her tea, surprised by her request. What? I want some time off. Ino repeated. She could understand just how hard it is to let one of their best take time off, but she needed this. If she doesn't take this time off, she might end up doing something that she will regret later on. Tsunade narrowed her eyes, carefully studying the girl. And what are your reasons for taking time off? This is just something that I have to do. Ino fiddled around with her fingers, feeling nervous as the Hokage stared her down. She's been here plenty of times reporting mission reports, but this was different. She was asking the Hokage about something personal here. Tsunade shook her head. That isn't a good enough reason. You must have a personal objective here. Why don't you tell me what's going on and I'll see what I can do for you? Ino hesitated for a bit, unsure if she should tell her. She spent the entire night preparing for this, but here she was, standing in front of Tsunade speechless, unable to remember any words. I just want some time away from my friends. Is this about what happened on your last mission? Tsunade inquired. She saw the look in Ino's eyes, the pain that she was trying to mask. It was normal that everyone experiences hurt sometime in their life, but it is how they heal from it that sets them apart from everyone else. Hi. Ino slowly answered. She couldn't be around her friends right now. She wasn't ready to forgive them yet. It was just too painful. Tsunade sighed. 6 months, Ino. I'm giving you 6 months to do whatever that you must do, but after that, I'm assigning you back on the active duty list. Do you understand me? Ino nodded her head eagerly. She was expecting 2 months at max, but 6 months was even better. Thank you, Hokage-sama. She bowed her head and left the room. Tsunade watched the girl leave her office. She had a similar look that Naruto had in his eyes when she saw him without his mask. It was that tiny spark of hurt. The human heart had a limit on how much pain it can handle. Too much and the person will crack. If only your parents were still alive, Ino. She couldn't think more about this issue. Ino has to deal with her problems by herself. She was a strong girl, she should be able to do it. With Naruto. Naruto was walking around the forest until he felt a familiar presence coming up from behind. Did you finally catch up? Naruto inquired. He didn't even need to turn around to know who it was. Itachi walked up next to him, not even out of breath. You slowed down, he replied in a monotone voice. I don't remember the way. Naruto stated. Itachi turned his head, as if he was searching for something. It doesn't matter. We're here. Naruto frowned. They were in the middle of a forest. There was nothing around here but trees and more trees. They weren't even near Kase no Kuni. Here is where. Itachi pointed towards a grove of vines was growing between 2 large trees. The base. Naruto looked around and saw nothing that even remotely resembled a base. If you're wasting my time, Itachi, I swear I will. You'll what? Itachi spoke up, staring Naruto in the eye. Kill me. You can't kill me. You need me. Naruto glared back. I've been known to defy rumors. Naruto walked up for a closer examination, noticing that it was a genjutsu covering the area. A very large one, in fact. Itachi approached the vines and touched it. The ring on his finger started to light up. The vines themselves started to split apart, granting them entrance to a hidden cave. Naruto walked in, amazed at the formation. There was no way he would have figured out the location of the base by himself. It was just too well hidden. Greetings, Uzumaki-san. A cold voice greeted him. Naruto tilted his head upwards a bit, his eyes staring at the figure standing on a statue. He narrowed his eyes as he carefully studied the figure. It looks like those rumors of your death was greatly exaggerated pain. I assure you, Uzumaki-san. Those rumors were gravely mistaken. Pain answered, his eyes boring into Naruto. Naruto took a step forward, keeping his eyes on the infamous Akatsuki leader. Rumors are merely fabrications of the truth. To a certain extent, they might even hold a little bit of truth. Naruto felt a slight change in the movements and his eyes now noticed that pain was gone. Knowing where the leader could have gone, he allowed a fleeting smirk to cross his face. Is this real enough? Pain coldly whispered from behind. His right arm holding a weapon to Naruto's throat. Naruto felt the cold tip of the kunai, his eyes confirming his suspicions. But am I real enough? The blonde shinobi replied curtly. Pain narrowed his eyes as his hands moved with a swift motion, slitting the throat. His expression didn't change when the Naruto he captured disappeared in a puff of smoke. Are you done testing me? Pain asked, his hands retreating back into his cloak. Naruto slowly stepped away from the shadows of the cave. He glanced towards Pain, a stoic expression on his face. I wanted to see your skills with my own eyes. I refuse to work for anyone who is weaker than I am. A weak leader can only command weak warriors. Then I hope my performance didn't disappoint you, Uzumaki Naruto. Itachi stood there, watching both men closely. It looks like he was momentarily forgotten, but he didn't mind nor care. He did his job and that was all there is to it. As the two men continued to glare at each other, Itachi could feel the killer intent rising. His body unconsciously started to twitch, a response to the amount of killing intent released. Never in his life had he felt this much. It was indescribable but, at the same time, excited him. He could feel the adrenaline rushing through his veins. Uzumaki Naruto, you will be my stepping stone. A small sadistic grin found its way up on Itachi's face, growing bigger with each passing moment. Here stood two men, glaring each other down. Two men who were labeled as highly dangerous by the 5 great ninja villages. They are legends among legends. Their names strike fear into the hearts of many. Each with a power that would someday change the course of history. Come Uzumaki Naruto. We have some matters to discuss. Pain spoke up, ending their little staring contest. He turned around and disappeared, leaving Itachi and Naruto behind. Naruto looked around, a disgruntled expression on his face. Where's the freaking door? He grumbled. Itachi merely responded by pointing the blonde in the right direction. Konoha. Yamanaka Flower Shop. It was a cloudy day in Konoha, but elsewhere, there was a person who was not affected by the weather. Not a single bit. Ino Yamanaka had a bright smile on her face as she waltzed around her flower shop. She picked up different type of flowers, breathing in their lovely aromas. Ino never felt better in her life. As she continued to waltz around the flower shop, she could feel her troubles melting away. A smile tugged on her lips as she sprayed some water on the flowers, making them look fresh. She heard an elder speak something once about flowers, the raw beauty that they held. Flowers were created to conceal the sins of the world by showing the beauty instead. She didn't get what that old geezer meant back then, but now, she has taken those words to heart. There was too much unnecessary bloodshed in this world. She smiled as she picked up several white lilies and brought them over to the counter. As Ino worked, she hummed a melody that her father taught her when she was 5. While her friends were out completing missions and moving on with their life, she was stuck in the past, cherishing the moments that she no longer had. It wasn't because she didn't want to move on. It was because there was nothing to move on to. She was content with just being here in the present, taking her sweet time. A sudden chime roused Ino from her thoughts, alerting her to someone's presence in her shop. When she looked up, she was surprised to see an all too familiar face. Shikamaru. Ino greeted her longtime friend. She hasn't seen him since they got back from that mission. What are you doing here? Shikamaru chuckled quietly. No reason. I was just passing by. Ino gave him a weird look before going back to her flowers. Shikamaru shrugged off the look and continued to just watch. He took a seat beside the counter and watched in silence. The way Ino's eyes seemed to glow every time she picked up a flower. You seem different, the Nara whispered. People change, Shika. Some for the better, some for the worst. She replied without looking up. All the things that happened to me recently were like a sign, telling me to be more observant and not take life for granted. It makes me sad on how kids these days don't realize what a dangerous job they're getting into. Wow, Ino, that's pretty deep. So how are you doing? I'm fine, Ino answered. Before Ino could further expand on that, the chime on the door suddenly rang again, signaling that another customer has entered her shop. Excuse me, a loud voice shouted. Is there anyone here? Ino stepped away from the counter and into plain sight to greet her customer. Hello. What can I get for you today? She didn't recognize this young man, but she felt a strong sense of familiarity with him. The untamed brunette hair and his face has a striking resemblance to someone she knew very well. The young boy turned his head, his eyes searching for something. I'm looking for an Ino Yamanaka. She's about this tall and has blonde hair. The boy made hand motions to give the lady a description. That's me. What can I do for you? The young man broke into a smile. I heard you ran into my Nisan. Ino gave him a confused look. Nisan, I'm afraid you got your facts messed up. I don't even know who your Nisan is, let alone who you are. Oh, that's right. You only met me once when Uncle Asuma introduced me to his team. My name is Sarutobi Konohamaru and I believe you ran into Naruto Nisan. Ino dropped her jaw. She couldn't believe it. This brat was that young boy that Asuma-sensei introduced to them all those years ago. She couldn't believe it. She quickly gave him a look over and found that he did remind her of her sensei. Wait a minute. Naruto is your Nisan. Ino almost shouted out. She couldn't believe it. This boy, the heir to the Sarutobi clan, calls Naruto, the rank SS ninja, his Nisan. Are you shitting me? She yelled out. Konohamaru narrowed his eyes. Naruto Nisan isn't a bad man. He hasn't done anything wrong. Not done anything wrong. He killed. Ino raised her hand and started to count off, saying things as information came to her mind. Ino, drop it. Shikamaru spoke up, his tone changing from his normal lazy one to a more serious one. Yo Konohamaru. The Nara waved. Yo. Didn't see you here, Shikamaru. Konohamaru waved back. Before Ino could protest, Shikamaru spoke up. Ino, have you ever known Naruto personally? Ino began to open her mouth but then closed it. She couldn't find anything to say. No, she replied, shaking her head. Shikamaru continued, trying to get his point across. Did you ever hang out with Naruto? Again, Ino shook her head. Then don't judge people based on who they are. Didn't Asuma-sensei teach us that? Even though he is the son of the third Hokage, he never rubbed it in our face. He taught us to learn both sides of the story before judging. We are ninjas. We must look underneath the underneath. Ino stood there baffled. Never before has Shikamaru lectured her like this. She has been told she was troublesome and such by him but never lectured. He better have a good reason for embarrassing her like this. Naruto and Asuma-sensei are two completely different people. Ino growled. Asuma-sensei would have never betrayed us. He would never think about killing people he cared about. Ino, have you ever known Naruto to the point where he was more than just a hyperactive brat? Ino gritted her teeth. Shikamaru knew what her answer was. He didn't need to continue with these damn questions. Damn Shikamaru and his intelligence. Why does he always use logic to point stuff out? Even though Naruto Nisan is a wanted man, he has my respect. Konohamaru answered forcefully. He considered Naruto his older brother, someone who acknowledged him for who he was inside, not by his name. Yeah, okay, brat. Just try saying that when he's holding a kunai to your throat. Ino retorted. Just as she started to walk away, Shikamaru stopped her. Sit down and get ready for a story. Not left with any other choice, Ino reluctantly gave in. Half of her was still pissed at what Naruto did but another half was intrigued by him. This was a blessing in disguise and she knew it. Akatsuki base. I have a job for you. Pain kept on his stoic face as he sat on a chair that vaguely resembled a throne. He had his hands folded on his lap, waiting for Naruto to enter the room. You're not one for subtleties, are you, Pain? Neither are you. Pain replied. So what do you want of me? Naruto bluntly asked. Pain lowered his head slightly and narrowed his eyes. Heart of the waterfall. He spoke up cryptically. There was no hint of teasing or anger in his voice. Just the voice of a dead man. A stone that is said to grant its user immeasurable power at a cost. The stone would ultimately merge itself with the user before taking their life. It was rumored to be a story, a myth that arose during the First Civil War in Takigakure. Naruto tilted his head slightly. What does the leader of Akatsuki, whose members are on par with a village cage, want with a useless stone? Pain didn't answer. His only physical response was closing his eyes for a moment. When they reopened, his Rinnegan fiercely glared at the Jinchuriki. That is none of your concern, Uzumaki. If you wish to join us, you will retrieve the stone within a week. Consider this a test. If you fail, do not bother to come back. I have no need for weaklings in my organization. Pain coldly answered. Naruto released a small growl, letting Pain know his discontent. You worry too much about the little things, Pain. It is I who should be judging you. Remember that. Naruto took one last look before disappearing out of the cave. Making his way towards Tokigakure, his dull crystal blue eyes were now burning with a raging fire. I'll show you, Pain. I'll show everyone that Uzumaki Naruto is not someone who they should look down upon. Back in the cave, Pain-sama, Itachi entered the room and bowed. Is it wise to send Uzumaki to complete this mission? That is none of your concern, Itachi. Follow him and make sure he doesn't do anything rash that would upset the mission. Hi, Pain-sama. Itachi bowed once more and left the room. A small smile formed on Pain's lips as he sensed Itachi leaving the cave. Soon, salvation will be here and there will no longer be any bloodshed. We can finally accomplish what we started all those years ago. A flash from within Pain's eyes fared before dying out. I understand. The infamous leader of Akatsuki stepped into the shadows and disappeared as well, leaving the cave uninhabited. Konoha, Yamanaka flower shop. So there he was, walking into our training ground just an hour later after completing his rank S mission. Anyone else would have shrugged us off to rest, but Naruto Nissen didn't. He came in with his full Anbu gear and stuff and started his demonstration on how to use ninjutsu effectively. I can tell he was really into it because he wasn't so distant, but after his demonstration, he had to leave quickly. Something about reporting back to the old hag. Konohamaru started to imitate his older brother from that day but failed horribly. He couldn't get the facial expression right, but it brought a laugh out of Ino. Who would have thought that Naruto actually cares about anyone besides himself? Ino muttered out loud. Well, there was this one time 2 months ago where we were coming back from a mission. Shikamaru rubbed his chin as he started to recall the events. You were knocked out by a surprise attack from a group of missing nins while me and Choji were ambushed from behind. We thought it was over for you, but then this Anbu appeared in front of your body, shielding you from harm. Before we could get over there, the missing nins in his area were dead within a second. That guy must have been powerful because they were already dead before they took a step forward. I still don't know who that Anbu was. You guys never told me anything. Ino glared at Shikamaru, who chuckled nervously. Well, he carried you all the way back to Konoha. All 2 hours, Ino. Shikamaru put some emphasis on the last part. By the time we got to the hospital, the Anbu was already standing next to you with his mask removed. I got a quick look before he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Ino leaned in, her eyes widening a little. She was anxious to know who her savior was. She felt her heart beating faster than usual. She remembered his strong arms and how safe she felt by just being held by him. The only thing she could remember about the Anbu was that his mask was that of a kitsune. It was Naruto. Shikamaru stared at her, surprised at her answer. Why would you say that, Ino? Ino only smiled. There was no one in the history of Anbu to ever don a kitsune mask. It just seemed right that Naruto would wear it as a representation of something else. Shikamaru sighed. If you figured this out sooner, why couldn't you have said so? It would have saved me a lot of effort. Geez, you're so troublesome. Ino smiled sweetly at Shikamaru before slapping him on the back of his head. Care to repeat that? Shikamaru only muttered something under his breath as he got up. What did you say? Ino threatened. He said troublesome woman. Konohamaru spoke up. Shikamaru shot him a death glare, but he felt Ino coming closer. I'll get you later, Konohamaru. Shikamaru quickly disappeared, leaving Ino with no target. So Konohamaru, Ino turned around, facing the boy. What is it about Naruto that you consider him a brother? The young Sarutobi grinned at her. We shared the same dream of becoming Hokage. Even though he no longer has that dream, I will become Hokage for him. Ino sighed. Maybe you should give up on Naruto Konohamaru. He's nothing but a cold-blooded killer. Associating yourself with him will get you nowhere. The next words that came out of Konohamaru's mouth shocked her. The boy's mood instantly changed and she knew she hit a nerve. What she didn't know was that Konohamaru held Naruto in the highest regard. The outcome was a very enraged Sarutobi Konohamaru. It was frightening how his killing intent leaked out. For a minute there, she swore that she could see the Sandame standing right behind the boy. Watch what you say, you old hag. He might be a cold-blooded killer, but it was because of you and this village that turned him this way. Next time you disrespect him, I will not hesitate to crush you. Whether you are a student of my uncle or not. Konohamaru's eyes flared like a raging fire. The tone of his voice demanded authority. Ino wanted to shout something back but found that she suddenly lost her voice. If Nisan wanted to kill you, he would have done so, but since he spared your life, he must have seen something in you. Consider it his gift. Without looking back, the angry Sarutobi heir left the flower shop. He could feel his blood boiling, but deep inside, he wasn't angry at her. His anger was directed at the villagers for their ignorance and hatred. Naruto Nisan, next time we meet, I'll prove to you that I have surpassed you. Konohamaru whispered as he exited the shop. Only when I defeat you will it prove that I am finally worthy of becoming Hokage. He thrust his fist to the skies, as if he was making a statement. Until then, don't die, Nisan. Inside the flower shop, Ino watched as Konohamaru stormed out. She slowly dropped to the floor, her knees finally giving out on her. Finally getting over her initial shock, she managed to let out a small whisper. Why would he defend Naruto like this? She clutched her hands against her chest. Maybe it's time I start digging a little deeper. 2 days later, Takigakure. It was already nightfall when the blonde Jinchuriki reached his destination. As he walked past the waterfall, he reminisced at a certain memory. It was about 8 years ago since he last stepped foot into this cave. It was back during his genin days when he was a carefree idiot. Back then, he was out to save this village, now he's back once more to steal something. Oh, the irony. If he wasn't swimming underwater, he would be somewhat amused right now. It took Naruto a good 3 minutes to swim to the end, and when he finally surfaced, he was greeted with a familiar sight. The place hasn't really changed much. It was mostly still the same buildings, same bridge. As he swam over to the edge of the village, he carefully listened for sounds of voices and footsteps. When he heard nothing, he quickly jumped out of the river and began his mission to find the stone. Elsewhere in Taigakure, Shibuki-san, is this really necessary to take a walk right now? A rough but feminine voice spoke out. We're here to guard you, but you're not making this job any easier. Gomen Hana-san, but there is a reason for my walk. Shibuki looked around. A small smile appeared on his lips as he touched a nearby building. Ever since I became the village leader, it has been my job to ensure their safety. I watched this village with an unstable economy turn into what it is now, a functional village where we can finally be proud of it. Yosh. Shibuki-san has the flames of youth burning deeply within his soul. Lee shouted. Lee-san, please refrain from making so much noise. You're disturbing the villagers. Aburame Shibi spoke up in a monotone voice that was similar to his son. Excuse us, Shibuki-san, but Hana-san has a point. It is best that we return to the mansion. We have a big day ahead of us tomorrow. Shibuki nodded his head. Thank you for your concern, Shibi-san. Just as Shibuki took a step forward, Hana immediately held her arm out, stopping the man from advancing. Hold on, she quietly whispered. Her companion started to emit a small but fierce growl. You hear that as well, Mitsu? Lee slowly stepped in front of Hana, his head quickly searching the area. I don't see anything, Hana-san. Lee whispered. There's someone here. Do you doubt the noses of the Inuzuka clan? Hana hastily answered. Shibi made no effort to restrain the two as he also was searching. His bugs were going crazy from inside. He could feel their fear, and that was the thing that scared him the most. Be on full alert. We don't know who we're dealing here. Look. Shibuki stuttered out, his fingers pointing straight ahead. The Konoha team turned their heads and saw someone walking towards them. Each of them could feel the power just radiating off this person, and by one look, he or she was truly someone to be feared. Naruto walked forward towards the group. He heard a loud voice earlier and decided to check it out. As he slowly made his way over, he could feel their presence, feel their fear, and he liked it. He kept his hands inside his brown cloak, waiting to see what these fools would do. What do we do, Shibi-san? Hana asked, but before the Aburame could answer, Lee spoke up. We will defeat this enemy with our flames of youth. Lee, do you not see how strong this person is? Hana growled out. All the better to fight. We aren't Junins from Konoha from nothing. Lee replied. The group stood their ground, decided to take Lee's advice. With the leader of the Aburame clan and the second best taijutsu specialist in Konoha here, there was no way they would lose. When the hooded figure got into sight, the Konoha ninjas had their guard up. What are you doing out so late, stranger? Lee bluntly asked. Naruto paid no attention to his question as he secretly found a smirk on his face. He pointed slowly to Rock Lee. Rock Lee, age 21, Junin. Second best taijutsu specialist in Konoha. Past team members were Hyuga Neji and Tenten under the guidance of Maeda Gai, the leading taijutsu specialist in Konoha. Next, Naruto pointed his finger towards Hana. Inuzuka Hana, age 26, a low-level Junin rank from Konoha who works as a vet in her spare time. You and your companion, Mitsu, were once known as the Shining Flower because of your combined techniques. Finally, Naruto pointed his finger towards Shibi. Aburame Shibi, age 45, also a Junin rank ninja. You are the leader of the Aburame clan who specializes in Kikai bugs. The bugs feed on the host's chakra system, but in return, they do their bidding. Your son Shino will most likely succeed you within a few years, thereby taking over the clan. As Naruto watched their shocked expression, he couldn't help but notice that the man in the middle was subconsciously holding his chest. Shibuki-san, the leader of this village, once drank from the famous hero water to defeat his old sensei Suion. Who are you? Shibuki asked. How do you know so much about us? Have we met before? Before Naruto could answer, Shibi closed his eyes. So it is you. I never thought I would see you here tonight. You were once the plague of our village, scorned for being a demon, and after many failed assassination attempts, you still continued to mock us for our sins by walking among the living. Number 327 of the Konoha Bingo book. Ranked SS for your abilities and have been marked for death if encountered by hunter nins. Shibi stopped for a second before opening his eyes. Uzumaki Naruto, also known as the Silent Storm. Naruto clapped his hands before slowly removing his hood, allowing everyone to see him. He heard several gasps and stared at them with his cold blue eyes. Aburame-san, I'm glad that you still remembered me. Lee was the one that was shocked the most. Nah, Naruto. Just as he was about to step forward, Shibuki stopped him. Naruto-san, what brings you here tonight? Naruto turned his eyes at the man, barely recognizing him. You have something I want, Shibuki-san, and I want it now. I'm afraid that I can't let you do that. Shibuki-san is under our protection. Shibi replied. Naruto chuckled a little, showing them his amusement. I don't know what it is about Konoha fools making them all so chivalrous, but know this. I intend to get what I came here for, one way or another. The blonde Jinchuriki's eyes flashed a hint of red before returning to cold blue. And if I have to kill you three to get through Shibuki, then by all means, I will send the Shinigami 3 new souls as payment. Naruto kept on his cold demeanor, his eyes carefully analyzing the 3 Junins from Konoha. So who wants to visit the Shinigami first? He looked towards Lee. How about you, Lee? You were close last time. Maybe I should start with you. It seems like you're forgetting something, Uzumaki Naruto. We outnumber you 3-1. Even you, an ex-Anbu captain, cannot possibly defend yourself against 3 seasoned Junins. Shibi reasoned. Turn yourself in peacefully before we resort to violence. Naruto chuckled slightly. An ex-Anbu captain. You're comparing me to that? My old position. That was ages ago. I'm way beyond that level now. To make his point clear, Naruto released some chakra, allowing the Konoha ninjas to see who they were dealing with. A gust of wind discharged from Naruto, causing small dust particles to be blown away. Shibi held his hand slight above his face to shield himself from the dust. It would seem that they made an error. A grave error tonight. From the corner of his eye, he could see Hana's left hand shaking. It was definitely not a good sign. If they were to walk away from this fight victoriously, he would need all the manpower and advantages he could produce. There was also something he clearly did not mention when he informally introduced Naruto. It was warning to all ninjas. A warning that was written in bold. If the target is seen, the first objective is to run away. Under no circumstances is any ninja allowed to approach the subject without necessary backup. Naruto-kun, let us stop this nonsense fighting and turn yourself in. When we get back to Konoha, I, Rock Lee, will speak on your behalf personally. Lee flashed him a smile. Hana snorted. Lee, did you not hear him correctly? I don't think he's here for a personal chat. Personally, I would rather kill him than drag his battered and bruised body back home. It would be a waste of time. Despite the age difference between Lee and herself, she had nothing but respect for the young Junin. He was a ninja with no chakra in his body, but he overcame all odds, showing everybody that he was the best taijutsu specialist in Konoha. Ignorant Konoha fools. Naruto sighed. Don't you know when to shut up? The group felt a shift in the night breeze and Naruto disappeared in front of their eyes. Where did he go? Hana shouted. There was a slight panic tone in her voice. It wasn't the fact that they were facing a dangerous ninja that scared her. It was the fact that she couldn't track his scent with her nose. Come out, you coward. Face us like a man. Man, I thought I was a demon. Naruto's voice echoed all around. Why don't you make up your minds? Shibi made no comment as he held out his arms. A swarm of Kikai bugs came flying out and they immediately dispersed into the air. Shibi looked around, his eyes hidden behind his dark shades, but his body was tensed, preparing himself for any sudden attack. Lee continued to look around, searching for signs of Naruto. A sudden breeze blew through the area and the group stood there, embracing the warm wind, but it was a mistake that would cost them dearly. As soon as the wind went through them, cuts appeared all over their body. Hana's eyes widened at the sudden cuts. What the hell? She muttered, placing her hand on her wounds. You bore me. The voice originated from above. Lee immediately went into action, leaping into the air. When Lee's kick met Naruto in midair, he expected a solid body, but to his surprise, his kick connected with nothing but air. What? His eyes widened. He quickly twisted in midair, his eyes searching for any other possible location. He caught the faint movement of a brown cloak behind Hana. Hana, behind you! Lee shouted. Hana heard the warning from her teammate but found herself immobilized with fear. Do you fear death? Naruto's cold voice whispered from behind her. He had his hands near her throat, as if gripping something. Lily, she managed to stutter out. Help me. Her voice was just barely above a whisper. She felt helpless in her position. She couldn't believe that she let herself be captured like this and knew this was a fatal mistake on her part. She could see Mitsu growling fiercely but keeping his ground. Where's your why attitude now? Where's that rambunctious girl from before? Naruto continued to taunt her. Even though he had his hand near her throat, his eyes wasn't focused on her. They were focused on Lee. Naruto, your battle with me is not over. Lee shouted as he quickly unhooked his weights and threw them towards Naruto. Those weights were about 400 pounds each, making it at a total of 800 pounds, and it would knock anyone unconscious. It was a win-lose situation here. If he dodges, he could either kill Hana and then move or release her and save himself. Either way, he hoped it would be the latter. What Lee did not expect Naruto to do was to stand there and catch both of the weights with his left arm. He turned his head slightly and had a bored look on his face. Is this all you wear? Lee quickly ran in, hoping to free Hana from Naruto's clutches, but before he could reach her, Naruto plunged his hand through Hana's chest, a shocked expression written across her face. Lee didn't stop there and continued to race towards Naruto. Naruto narrowed his eyes as the Hana that he just killed started to deform, revealing a mess of Kikai bugs. As the bugs started to crawl over Naruto, Lee crossed his arms slightly and whispered. First gate. Kaiman. Aku. A silhouette of light covered Lee as his speed increased exponentially. Naruto watched as the bugs crawled on his arms, making their way towards his body. He never really had the chance to spar with Shino, so he never understood the mechanics behind these bugs. All he knew was that they were dangerous and consumed chakra. A very deadly combination for ninjas. I'm not the same Rock Lee that you once knew, Naruto. Ever since you defeated me, I have been training non-stop to redeem myself. Lee made his point by elbowing Naruto before throwing him up into the air towards a reformed Hana Inuzuka. Deception is a ninja's greatest tool. Did you forget that? Hana jumped off Mitsu and the two began to rotate in midair. Eat it, Gatsuga. Naruto only watched as the attack came closer. He couldn't help but smirk. He could tell that this attack was going to hurt. Judging by the cyclonic movements, there were no flaws in the execution. The attack hit him directly on the chest, sending him straight into the ground that resulted in a large crater. Lee stood next to Hana, who was kneeling down next to her dog, waiting for the smoke to clear. Shibi, on the other hand, was nowhere to be seen, but when the smoke cleared, the bug user was standing just above Naruto, releasing more Kikai bugs. Naruto got back up slowly, not even aware of the insects on his body. I hope you got your attacks in, his body taking 2 steps forward. Because that's all you're going to get. Don't act so tough. The Kikai bugs are draining your chakra as we speak. Pretty soon, you'll be nothing more but a pile of bones. Hana boasted. Is that so? Naruto inquired. He held out his arm and watched the endless Kikai bugs travel all over his body and soon, engulfing him. Fushicho-kan. Sakuretsu. The sudden outburst of chakra caught everyone's attention as a bright orange color flame erupted through the bugs, burning and disintegrating them all. Shibi sudden dropped to his knees, the loss of his entire colony of Kikai bugs taking a toll on his body. His chest was working overtime trying to sustain enough oxygen to keep the body moving. Naruto stepped forward, admiring his handiwork. Wasn't that a bang? Shibi looked up and for the first time in his life, he feared for his own life. He should have known better than to take the missing nin head on. What actually made him think that a team of 3 Junins could bring down a ranked SS missing nin? The Aburame clan head had nothing left. His entire colony of Kikai bugs was wiped out with one attack. Any last words, Aburame-san? Naruto coldly asked, his right hand gripping something tightly. Shibi sadly nodded his head. Lee. Hana. I'm sorry that I failed you as team leader. He bowed his head in apologies, but nevertheless, he kept his stoic face on. Shibi-san. Lee screamed out. Second gate. Kuman. Aku. Third gate. Simon. Aku. With the newly opened gates, Lee exploded from his spot, creating a small explosion, but Lee was already headed towards Naruto. Naruto had a surprised look when Lee appeared on his face and the two quickly exchanged blows. Lee quickly took the match away from Shibi and into the air. With a hard right fist coming from Naruto's blind side, it caught Naruto in the chin, sending him up in the air. Ura Renge. Lee unwrapped his bandages and jumped behind Naruto, wrapping both his arms and bandages around Naruto. Lee accelerated into the air, and when it reached maximum height, they began to pummel back to the earth, Lee holding tightly onto his enemy. The result caused another earth-shattering crater as Lee struggled to get up, his body yearning for rest. Shibi caught the young ninja before he had the chance to take another step. Thank you, Lee. Shibi's words seemed to have brought a small smile to Lee's face, but it soon turned into shock as Shibi shoved him away. Lee stumbled backwards as blood squirted over his face. Naruto stood behind Shibi. The invisible weapon that he once held was now covered in blood. The blood of an Aburame. Hana dropped to her knees, her hands covering her mouth as tears were flowing down her cheeks. And then there were two. Naruto stated in a cold monotone, unfazed that he just killed off one of the strongest ninjas currently there. His eyes darted towards his next victim, wondering what they were going to do. Naruto. Lee yelled out as he slammed his fist to the ground. Looks like you just won yourself a ticket to join your friend Lee. Naruto whispered from behind Lee. Lee pushed himself off the ground with one arm and executed a quick roundhouse kick, but Naruto blocked it with ease with one arm. Lee didn't stop there. He twisted his body when Naruto blocked the kick and aimed a punch towards Naruto's stomach. The punch connected, but there was no reaction. Lee watched with shocked eyes as the punch that he put most of his strength into made no impact at all. That's not a punch, Lee. This is. As Lee was falling down, he saw Naruto pulling his arm back before throwing a feint that connected with Lee's face, sending him back straight into Hana. The young taijutsu specialist groaned as he pulled himself up from his teammate. Are you okay? He asked. Hana only nodded as she pulled herself together. Not only was there a ringing sound in her head, one of her teammates was now dead. If Aburame Shibi couldn't take down Naruto, what chance did the two of them have? A blood-chilling scream echoed through the village before it momentarily died out. Sounds of a faint whimpering soon followed. Shibuki-san. The both of them realized that they left the client unprotected.